The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is The Jared Dillian Show. This is also the moment of truth. Because have you been paying attention to what's going on in the stock market the last couple days? Yes, it's been going down. It's been going down a fair amount, but there's, in the stock market, people talk about on the highs, they ring the bell. They ring the bell on the highs because it's just obvious. There's so many signals that you're on the highs. It's like somebody rings a bell. And the point of this radio show isn't to make directional calls on the stock market, but I do want to talk about this because there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. And if you want to call, if you want to rap about stocks, if you want to just rap about the market, just call 844-305-7800. First of all, I want to point out that Tesla went up 400%, 500% in a month. Now, that sometimes happens with small stocks. It doesn't usually happen with big stocks. Tesla was trading at 180. It went all the way up to 960. It's sort of threatening to go through 1,000. This is a big company that quadrupled in a month. That's not normal. It's not normal. And yes, I understand it was a short squeeze. I understand all that stuff. That's not the kind of stuff you usually see on the lows. You don't see stocks going up 400% on the lows. It's not what happens. I've also learned that there are these people that go on Reddit. And first of all, Reddit, all the good ideas are on Reddit. The great ideas are on Reddit. I'm kidding. All the bad ideas are on Reddit. There are people on Reddit who are chatting about stocks. And these are not really people with a lot of money to lose. And what they're doing, they're engaging in very highly speculative behavior. And I think I mentioned this earlier in the week. They're buying naked call options. They're buying upside call options and piling into these options and driving stocks higher. And they're doing it with big stocks like Microsoft. They're also doing it with little stocks like lumber liquidators, but they're doing it with big stocks. And they're moving the stock market. And that to me, whenever you see a bunch of people getting together to buy upside call options, that to me kind of sounds like a top. This is not the kind of stuff you see on the lows. And we just had Morgan Stanley buy E-Trade. And first of all, let me just say, the discount brokers a while back cut their commissions to zero. And we talked a little bit about it at the time because you might say, well, if the commissions are zero, how are they making money? And they're still making money. They're making less money. They're still making money. But trading activity at the discount brokers has exploded, as you might expect. It's just supply and demand. The price goes down, demand goes up, and their trading activity has exploded, and naturally it's all buying activity, and it's driving the market higher. So Morgan Stanley buys E-Trade. I mean, this reminds me when Goldman Sachs bought Spear Leads Kellogg, literally at the tippy top of the market. You could have rang a bell. I know people who worked on that deal. Literally, they got the contract signed. The ink wasn't even dry, and the stock market started to crash. So, by the way, Spear Leads was what you called a wholesaler. They employed hundreds of people to make markets in NASDAQ stocks. They also had people making markets in options. And Goldman Sachs bought them literally at the top in 2000. So this is the same thing. The other thing that's going on is, first of all, coronavirus is turning out to be worse than anybody expected. Now it's spreading through Korea. I suspect that this is going to continue to be a problem and it's going to affect the economic statistics. You're going to see a recession in China, unless they just, put out fake data, which they might. You're going to see lots of recessions in Asia. And if this spreads, you're going to see a recession here. Now, it's not going to be anybody's fault. It's just, people eating snakes and bats. But, that's not good. That's not good. And we have gold is ripping. Gold traded up to $1,650 today. And bond yields, interest rates keep going lower and lower. So what we have here is a divergence. We have stocks which are at the highs and bond yields making new lows and gold making new highs. It doesn't make any sense. It's not supposed to happen. I suspect that the stock market is wrong. So there's this, to me, it makes me very nervous. It makes me very nervous. By the way, this would be an incredibly bad time to have a correction in the stock market. It would be an incredibly bad time given the political undercurrents, and if people blame this on Donald Trump, not that, whatever. So it's in the middle of the election cycle. It's not a good time for this to happen, which is probably why it's happening, because it's Murphy's Law. So Dillion's Law is that Murphy was an amateur. So what are you going to do about all this? Because we've talked for, 8 months about what your portfolio should look like, the 35-65 portfolio, cutting your exposure to stocks. I don't know if you're listening. I don't know what your allocation to stocks is. If your allocation to stocks is 80, 90, or 100%, I'm going to say what I said before. You should cut your exposure to stocks. Forget all my prognostications about the market and how we might be at the highs and whatever, because I've been nervous for a while, if I'm being honest. I've been nervous about the stock market for a while. But you should do this anyway. And now is an exceptionally good time to do it, to cut your exposure to stocks. And then you say, well, what about bonds? 10-year notes are like 1.4%. I know you got to do it, but if you don't want to do it, at least get something else. Get gold, get commodities, get real estate. We talk about this all the time. There's lots of things you can diversify into other than stocks. This is not a good time to be in all stocks. Of course, financial advisors across the country are just like, they spent the last 6 months hanging on the rim after putting their clients in 100% stocks. I know some people here that are probably going to do that, and it's not a healthy market. It's not a healthy stock market at all. So now if you're somebody like me, where I'm an opportunist and I'm constantly looking for ways to make money in the stock market, I'm not looking at the stock market. I'm looking at other stuff. I'm looking at interest rates. I'm looking at currencies. I'm looking at gold. Stocks are exceptionally dangerous here. They're dangerous on the long side and they're dangerous on the short side. And I have a sense that volatility is going to pick up rather dramatically. Seriously. So really the issue is we want to live a stress-free financial life. You don't want to worry about your portfolio. So if you're worried about your portfolio, then cut risk. Cut risk, sell some stocks, move into bonds, move into gold, move into something else, and then you can sleep at night because you're going to be crying about this in a couple of months, is my predictions. You're going to be shedding many tears over your portfolio. So don't let it get to that point. I'm Jared Dillion. This is The Jared Dillion Show.
Jared Dillion. Now you know a rich guy.